Okay, so here's what we got is the newest Grr-Ripper item from Microjig. As you can see, this is going to be an unboxing jig. It's a very simple package. I couldn't spot it on the shelf because it didn't look like anything. So anyways, let's unbox it. All right, that one's unboxed. What did I do? This? All right, both unboxed. All right, so yeah, nope, video's not over. What's that? Okay, so both of them have that little tab. Anyways, all right, first impressions. Everything that used to kind of move around on the big brother of this is fixed. Like the handle's fixed. If you look at it straight, you can see that it's twisted. What that does is when you're going against the fence, it pushes in towards the fence. Your material holds it steady. You have these little sticky feet which grip the wood and move it around, or move it through the workpiece, or the saw blade, sorry. And so these are replaceable on its big brother. They are not on this one, so you do not want to cut this. So it comes with some color-coded areas here that let you know where it's safe to cut in terms of where your saw blade's going to be. That will wreck it. That will not. So anyways, it's unboxed. It's unboxed. Let's cut some stuff. Before I move along too quickly, I'm running out of light out here, so it's going to start turning blue for my light. There is a sticker here. It's a color-coded index. You put it onto your saw gauge down here, and so when you set up the blade, it lets you know. You can when you go to check your fence on your rail here, you can set this up to give you a warning, so you know how to set it up so you do not cut these tracks. The reason I got these, and I'm just going to tell you right now, these are very solid. They're a little bit shorter, a little bit lower. They're a little bit easier to grab. They don't have all the outrigger and all the junk, which is actually kind of nice. They do have this dovetail here. You can get one of their dovetail. There's like a dovetail. It slips in this way. It's angled. It's a triangle shaped piece. It goes in here. You can put a screw on there with a little knob, and then you can put on a piece of wood so that you can have a sacrificial piece that helps push the workpiece through the saw blade. They're very compact, and I'm going to be putting some angles on these edges, and so there's no possibility, as far as I know, of me hitting the blade with my tracks here. And then I have a size smaller, same thing. I will go to a different method, or the big brother, and I will set that up if I go to, there's about a 2.5 inch size I'm going to do. But for these, I figured they were ideal. They're quick, they're light, they don't get beat up if I move my saw around. So yeah, again, time to cut some stuff before I run out of sun. Part of the reason I'm making videos is to show you that you can make nice stuff with really, really lower quality tools. Oops. All right. You don't want to be... I'm going to make some grumpy old guys grumpier. The Freud rep in a truck when I worked for a woodworking store told me that it should be half a tooth above what you're cutting, the thickness, and so that's still a little high. With this, I'm not going to worry about it. With the bigger 10-inch Freud blades, they have a much larger tooth. He said for the geometry to work, the compression, the way it cuts, the way it's angled with the tooth, that needs to be just, like I said, half a tooth above. You don't want any more than that, and then, you know, chances are that you could really do some damage. You could give yourself a bad cut, but you're not going to take off a whole finger. You don't want to run with the saw way up here. So that's basic table saw safety 101, I guess. And so this should be adequate. I need to make some more, just rip some pieces here. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got my saw set. I think that's 90 degrees. And then I'm going to set it up for angled cuts. Okay, changing my plan. I'm not going to rip anything extra because I'm running short on time as it is. But this is what a lot of... Oops. This is what it looks like a lot of these contractor saws, you loosen something up back here, and then that lets you do your tilt. So I need to get to 45 degrees. I have this Chinois gauge from Woodcraft that I'm a big fan of. It has a big foot. So it's, even if the table's not actually flat, and a lot of them aren't when they're aluminum, these cheap ones, it has this 45-degree angle here where I can check and set my saw blade. And that looks okay. So I'm going to go for it. And then I need to check and see if it's going to be tall enough to get through my work pieces. So that's tracking. I've got some like 6-inch pieces and a little bit over 4, and then I've got some really tiny, like 2-inch pieces I want to do. But I'm going to set up a different jig for the 2-inch pieces, so that'll have to be a separate video. But I'm just going to call that good. And then just keep running them through in a second here. Just want to say that I paid $20 for this saw. It's originally from a Menards. It's an older Masterforce model. I don't know if you have Menards where you're at, but in terms of just shoving a piece of wood into a spinning blade, I paid, as used, I paid $70 for it. And it's probably paid for itself several times over. I haven't had it that long, but it's been a very productive saw for me. All right. Showtime. Like that. The edges are kind of straight, so go for it. If anything, I might run it through, well, I don't want to run it through a router, but that might be just in case I need to feather that off. But otherwise, it's pretty good. It's not an end-of-the-world project. So the one upside is that this was very fast. So anyways, so far so good. It's very compact, which I feel is a little bit better for the feel on smaller pieces, and that's why I bought these guys. So yeah, Woodcraft is where my local Woodcraft, I just ran out and got them at an Earth Day discount. So this is my contribution to Earth Day, I guess. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so the birch, oh, the Baltic birch, it has a grain. So the plies, the wood runs this way, and then it runs this way, and then it runs this way. And so it alternates, and that's how you end up with plywood, and that's what gives it the strength and stability. It doesn't get big and small with moisture. It doesn't get big and small with moisture too much like regular wood. Regular wood can expand quite a bit. But you're going to see me go a little bit slower when I'm cutting across the grain so that it doesn't rip the veneer here. And then I'm going to go a little bit faster when I'm going with the grain because it doesn't rip the same way. You can see where I took off in a hurry and it just shredded that edge, so that's gonna need some filler. Oh. Another thing that people will probably notice is this is just a 7 1/4 inch blade for a circular saw. I think it's a 40 tooth, so it gives you a finer finish. I figured it'd be a little bit better with plywood. I do have some 80 tooth larger blades, but I don't know, for some reason I thought this would be a good idea. Some of these smaller blades do a little bit better job because they're not spinning as fast because of smaller diameter. It's a smaller blade. So a long time ago, somebody actually recommended this for cherry because it doesn't burn the wood as much. It doesn't leave you those swirly scorch marks. And so I'm not getting them either. So that's one of the reasons. I think there's another reason, but I can't remember honestly. But anyways, it is what it is. All right, and another thing I want to mention, as you can tell I'm making some kind of like mitered edge box. They're like tiny boxes for kind of a school project. One thing I wanted to mention, and one thing you should know, these are going to be okay to cut on here with the blade set up like this, because these are larger, and so I've got some actual solid aluminum support. The problem with a lot of the cheap saws is that the inserts are thin and flimsy. They can wobble, bend, and I mean, I've had decent luck with this saw, but honestly, yeah, I mean, it's no, you can see me flexing it. So if you're really pushing down with a work handling piece, you want to have hopefully some solid table support over here. Just so you're aware of that, because it could, dip or change the shape of the cut, and then you'll get an inconsistent cut. What I'm going to do is, when I cut the really little ones, I'm going to put a piece of wood down. It's going to be an L shape. It's going to have, so it's going to be this and this. Technically, I think it's going to be more like that. But what it's going to do is I'm going to bring the blade up through the wood and be able to send it through with either this or its big brother or something else. And that's going to help support the really tiny pieces. And it's also going to give me zero clearance, so chunks aren't falling in here or getting stuck in the back. So there are issues with inexpensive saws, but with a little bit of ingenuity, you can really make them work for you. And I want to show that to people. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I'm kind of talking through my dust mask, so hopefully all this doesn't sound too horrible. And yeah, I got to keep cutting.